In this video, we're looking at the Steamboat Rag by Mier, found in her Jazz Rags and Blues book number 4, particularly the right hand, and making a legato fingering change so that on measures number 6, measure 10, and measure 18, a slight change in the fingering can keep it a legato sound. If we take a look at measure 6, 5 and 1 are the suggested fingerings for all of those intervals. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. There's nothing particularly wrong with that fingering when we put it hands together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. It works fine, but those notes are the end of a phrase that should be all legato. So by simply changing the finger that's on the top note of those intervals from 5 every time to 5, 4, and 3, 5 and 2, 4, and 3, and lifting our thumb only as we move from interval to interval, will make it sound legato like this. 1 and 2 and. You notice I just lifted my thumb and I kept these guys making a legato sound. Now when we get to that last interval, it's kind of a long note with a half note tied to an eighth note. So when you get there, if you want to switch to finger 5 once you're in place, just that'll ease some of the tension you might feel in your hand right up here. You have plenty of time to do that. So we would play it like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. This way when you put the left hand with it, it remains staccato and you're still legato here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So the phrase can remain legato without having to use any pedal, which would muddy up that staccato left hand. The same sort of thing happens at measure 10. The suggested fingering is 2 on the G sharp and 5 on the E. Then you have to pick that up to replay that G sharp and move your 5 to D on the next chord. And then pick up to play that 5 right here on the C. Again, by changing the top note fingerings to 5 and then 4 and 3, and then you can switch to 5 when you get there. Same as what we just did in measure 6, you can create a legato sound like this. 1 and just lift the second finger, go here. 2, then lift just these notes right here. And then you can switch to finger 5. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. This way you can keep your staccato left hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you don't need to use any pedal to keep a legato sound here, which would mess with your nice staccato octaves. The last place we want to look at changing the fingering at perhaps is measure number 18. The fingering that they give you is fine for fingers 2 and 5 right here on the F sharp and the D, and then they suggest 4 and then 1 on the F sharp. So if you just raise just your second finger, you can sound legato as you move from that D right there to your 4th finger on B. They don't give you fingering for the next interval, but you should probably use fingers 1 and 2. Come out of that F sharp, keeping hold of that B to play that interval. What we want to accomplish is making those top notes stay legato. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we hold on to these upper notes and just lift the lower part of our hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. One way that you could practice get the coordination for this technique is to exaggerate your movement. So for example, if we go back to measure number 6, playing this, sometimes it's difficult to get that small movement to happen right. Our right hand on the top here always keeps wanting to lift up whenever these fingers are lifting up. If we exaggerate the lift here like this, 1 and really exaggerate, lean over there, 2, exaggerate a big lift there, hold it and switch your fingers. Starting off with that big exaggeration can help you get that coordination going, especially once you put it with that staccato left hand. You know, when left hand is playing staccato, the right hand wants to do the same thing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Of course, we don't want to keep it that way. Over time and practice, you can get back to playing with a small movement. And that exaggeration and lifting the part of your hand that has to lift off the keys, a little extra large movement in there to start off with, works for all of those measures. So this is a great technique to use to make intervals sound nice and legato, and it will serve you well in all sorts of music, not just right here. So I hope you have a good time practicing on this, and happy practicing today.